How easy is it to travel to Morocco? Well, if you two believe that trying new food is one of the best ways to explore new places, we could take the trip right from our kitchen. So follow me on this journey to Morocco as I prepare meatball tagine and the local bread called Khobz. This must be one of the easiest bread you can make, and I'll start from it because it needs to proof for a couple of hours. So let's combine 180 grams of plain flour with 70 grams of fine semolina, half a teaspoon of sugar, half a teaspoon of salt, 150 milliliters of lukewarm water, and 4 grams of dry yeast. You can also add a tablespoon of olive oil at this point. You can start mixing with a spoon, but then you need to get in with your hands, unless you want to use a stand mixer, of course. The dough is well hydrated anyway, so it's not hard at all. Khobz is a generic term for bread in Arabic. It's actually pronounced khubz in the Middle East, but the version I'm making here is Maghrebi, and more specifically Moroccan. From what I've seen, the Algerian version tends to be larger, more hydrated, and enriched with eggs, while the Moroccan one is thinner, crispier, and more rustic thanks to the use of semolina. Anyway, after kneading for about 5 minutes, the dough has already become smoother and more elastic, so I can cover it and allow it to rise for a couple of hours, or until it has doubled in size. You might need a shorter time in a warm environment. For example, I normally keep it in a lightly preheated oven. And here it is, 2 hours later. So now I'll dust this pastry mat with some semolina, divide the dough in two, and shape each half into a ball. Then I'll roll each one of them into a disc, about 15 centimeters in diameter and less than a centimeter in thickness. I'll transfer them to a baking tray lined with parchment paper, cover with a cloth, and let them rest again for 45 to 60 minutes. It's a very short proof, so don't expect any major rise this time. It's mainly to allow the gluten to relax before baking. In the meantime, let's prepare the meatballs, or kefta in Moroccan Arabic. I'll start by dicing an onion, then 3 tomatoes, approximately 350 grams, and then I'll chop a bit of coriander, but you can omit it or replace it with parsley if you prefer. In a bowl, I'll throw in 250 grams of minced beef, about a quarter of the diced onion, 1 crushed garlic clove, half a teaspoon of cumin powder, half a teaspoon of smoked paprika, half a teaspoon of ginger powder, half a teaspoon of black pepper, half a teaspoon of salt, and half of the chopped coriander. I will knead it by hand. This is the best way to ensure that the spices are well distributed and that you achieve the right texture, particularly because, unlike most Western-style meatballs, kefta generally don't feature breadcrumbs, eggs, or other binders. And now, I'll take a bit of the mixture at a time, and I'll roll it between my hands to shape it into small meatballs. I believe that lamb would have been the traditional choice for this dish, but nowadays, most recipes seem to use beef instead, probably because it's cheaper. And it's time to bake our bread. I have preheated the oven to 200 degrees Celsius in convection mode, so I'll prick the two hobs with a fork a few times, and I'll bake them for 20 minutes. Let's cook our meatball tagine now. Well, of course I should be using a tagine clay pot like this one, but lacking that, a cast iron vessel like this one, or even a simple non-stick saucepan will do. So let's sauté the remaining onion in olive oil for a few minutes until translucent. Time to add the other ingredients for the sauce. A crushed garlic clove, the diced tomatoes, a teaspoon of tomato paste, a teaspoon of cumin powder, a teaspoon of ginger powder, half a teaspoon each of sweet and hot smoked paprika, but of course you can also use one of the two only, half a teaspoon of black pepper, half a teaspoon of salt, and a quarter of a teaspoon of turmeric. At this point, I'll cover with a lid and I'll let it simmer for 10 minutes until it thickens. Then I'll add about a third of a glass of water. I'll give it a stir, and I'll place the meatballs in the sauce. I'll cover again, and I'll keep cooking for another 15 minutes, always on low heat. In the meantime, here's our Khobz, right out of the oven. It's always so satisfying to make your own bread. The meatballs are done too, so it's time for the last step. I'll drop in 2 eggs. Eggs are a common addition, but they're entirely optional. I'll season them with salt, and I'll cover the pan again. You can cook the eggs for 3 to 5 minutes, depending on whether you prefer the yolks runny or fully cooked. Let's finish the dish with some chopped coriander, and here it is. It's simply great to scoop this soul-warming goodness with freshly baked bread. As they don't contain breadcrumbs, kefta are meatier and more rustic than other meatballs, but they're also more aromatic thanks to the spice mix. So, will you try this Moroccan dinner? Let me know in the comments if you do. If you like meatballs, you can also check out my Swedish meatball video. I'll add the link in the description. And remember, if you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing. It's free and it will truly help my channel. So, where are we going next?